full time at Loftus, and a big score. The All Blacks rampant once again, and 50 points to 19. The Bulls took a while to show up. I think that was the biggest problem. It was a side that were blown away in the first half, were chasing the game, then kind of got a bit into their rhythm in the second half, kind of came alive a little bit, but far too little, too late. But what we are seeing is that Test rugby's up here, and that other rugby's over here, and that to be able to contend, you've got to have more and more players in that kind of level. Because we saw a performance today in the form of a Marcel Coetzee, who I think just demonstrated the difference. I mean, he was massive, absolutely brilliant. But it was kind of him against the All Blacks type of thing. Other cameos, certainly. But what we saw is just the big difference there. And it wasn't the result we were hoping. We were hoping the Bulls were going to be a lot more competitive. But I don't think anyone was predicting really an upset. I think if you genuinely thought the Bulls were going to win, I think you're a bit naive. So the All Blacks carry on. But I think that the tour is definitely getting better. That was a 70-point game. 19 points to 0 in the first half. And at one stage in the second half, up until about the 75th minute, the score in the second half was 24-19 to the All Blacks. So the second half became a bit like a kind of an old-fashioned preseason where it was just a bit messy and just tries galore. I think the Bulls were a little bit naive at times from a game plan point of view. We would talk about the fact that all the South African teams do a set piece and kick and the likes of that, and the Bulls kind of didn't do that. They realized quite early on that the set piece wasn't working. And actually, if you look at the amount of kicks in total, 21 apiece between the two sides. So the Bulls didn't necessarily go to the aerial battle, probably maybe as much as they might have and should have. But it just took them too long to get going. At the end of the day, you've got to try and find parity up front. And that's where they really struggled. They didn't have the pack to match the All Blacks. And then the All Blacks running coast to coast. It was really, really cool to watch. But both teams running quite a lot. So before we get into some of the stats, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. A big congrats to Kubas Hussen, who has won tickets, courtesy of being a member of the Fair Sports Members Clubs, to go and watch the All Blacks versus the Boks next week, Saturday. So if you'd like to win tickets, go and join the Members Club. Link in the description below. Let's have a look at the stats, shall we? And it does tell us a bit of a story. Not obviously the entire story, but it definitely tells a big part of the story. And if you look at the set pieces, for example, the Bulls scrum at 86%, they didn't really have dominance. The All Blacks were much, much better. Lineouts were sloppy across the board. I mean, 75% for the Bulls is really poor. And the All Blacks also lost one. So turnovers will be a big concern from the Bulls. The All Blacks definitely won the breakdown battle. 8 tries to 3. They had more possession. But look at the meters run. 561 meters run from the All Blacks, 363 meters run from the Bulls. So it was two teams running at each other, in fairness. And in post-contact meters, I think the Bulls had about 253 and the All Blacks had 463. So that's quite a lot from both sides, to be honest. But 12 line breaks from the All Blacks tells a huge story. And I think if we talk about line breaks, this is where the Bulls lost the game. 159 tackles made, 42 missed. You're basically missing one for every 4 tackles, essentially. Even more than that, actually. So, it's you're not going to win matches in that kind of tackle success rate against a team like the All Blacks, because it wasn't like you were missing the dominant hit. They were missing 3 or 4 tries were just missed tackles. Like the last one, where unfortunately Kadleko Letabile, who'd been really good since coming on, slipped the tackle and Satiti went straight over. There were too many of those. But discipline was poor as well. Far too many penalties being conceded by the Bulls, and that's also a pressure thing. The New Zealanders just absolutely overloaded them, and they couldn't cope with the pressure. So, from an attacking point of view, the All Blacks will be very, very chuffed with what they saw. They passed well. They lots and lots of carries, created lots of things out of nothing. Some had almost full length to try. A little bit sloppy at times because I think they actually could have scored more points. But a lot of scramble defense had to come out from the Bulls. So it was an interesting game in terms of watching the two sides adapting, because I think the All Blacks adapted quite quickly and kind of realized that the power game, they went wide very quickly. They identified that they were spaced out wide, the Bulls were defending quite narrow, and they went wide very, very quickly. I think the frustration with the Bulls that they didn't confront the All Blacks enough in the first half. Early on in the second half, we saw the try coming from Ruan Vermaak, and it was a very simple try. It was a line out down, Ruan Vermaak coming around the corner at pace, and he scores the try. And I think when they started becoming a bit more confrontational, and I think maybe going a bit more confident in the fact that, let's have a go. Let's run up against them. Then we started seeing the Bulls come into their own, and they did manage to up the tempo. There were some nice breaks. I thought Cohen Bosch grew into the game quite nicely. Billy LaRue, unfortunately, had a very, very poor game, I thought. But Marcel Garcia, absolutely brilliant. I thought the two replacement props came on and put in a good shift. JF Van Heerden didn't look too out of place. So there were some performances in there, but we also, again, just saw a quality gulf. And again, I don't think we're going to see our local sides get a result against the All Blacks. I did think that the Bulls were going to be a better candidate to try and put in a better performance. At this stage, the Stormers are very much the only team that have contended. I really hope the Lions can put up something. But we always kind of knew it was going to be a difficult situation. And it's not about creating excuses. It's about facing the reality of where this tour is. I've been saying for a while, I personally think that a month later, from a timing point of view, would have worked a lot better from the tour because it's been quite awkward logistically. But it's always going to be a big ask. And I think what we need to be very careful about is assuming that if the Boks were in New Zealand, that these sort of results wouldn't be happening. So I do think we'd see these kind of scorelines. So I think you've got to look more past just the result, really. It's not just about looking at, it's 50 points to 19. Where are the All Blacks improving? And the skill set's looking All Blacks evolved, to be honest. The scrum is looking a bit better. The lineout's getting there. But I think there are a couple of places they do need to clean up, which is a good thing. I think Dave Rennie will not be chuffed, but it's always sometimes nice to see a few things that you sit there saying, right, we clean this up and we're starting to put it together. The big thing for the All Blacks was to get some important players some minutes. Cody Taylor looking good. Tyler Lomax looking good. I thought another strong game from Antonina Brown. So it was good to see some of from an All Blacks point of view. If an All Blacks fan, you'll be pretty happy with what you're seeing from Anton Sejna, from a Peter Lakai, players who are stepping up and putting their hand up. Because now it is the business end. It is the business end. It is now all roads lead to Ellis Park in a week's time. And a lot of, not all, but a lot of All Blacks fans are looking at these results and getting very confident ahead of the Bok game. A lot of Bok fans are getting a bit nervous. And I think the reason for that is we're not entirely sure where the Boks are. You're watching New Zealand perform now 3 matches within a week. We're kind of getting an idea of where the All Blacks are. And that's lots of momentum, lots of confidence. And the Boks, unfortunately, it's been a month since we sort of played against England, Scotland, and the likes of that. So our only point of reference was the Argentina game, which wasn't a good game. So it's very interesting to sort of see where the Boks are at. And that's kind of the big unknown, big question mark, is understanding, well, are the Boks ready? Are they not ready? And, where are we? So let me know what you thought about the game down in the comments below. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. As I said, become a member. Get a chance to win tickets to go and watch the test matches right here on the channel. And I'll speak to you guys all very soon.